Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the On Deck podcast by Prospects Live. And a little bit of a different look today. Just me and Drew holding down the fort with our Prospects Live hats. And Drew, I want you to explain to the people back home what we're doing today.
Folks, in case you couldn't read it on the tin or you're just clicking in, thanks for that. We are grading the 2024 draft classes. Nate, what that means is we're looking back with just about a year's worth of knowledge to see what teams did well and what teams maybe have some things to hope for in the future or work on in the future with regards to their class from the 2024 MLB first-year player draft.
Stick around until the end of the video because we will be doing an actual tier list of these teams for our visual-friendly listeners out there, and that's on YouTube as always. But in the meantime, we're going to get right into this thing. So I'm going to kick it to the drop teams for our intro, and we'll see you on the other side of that break.
And the boys in the corner are trying to figure you out. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to know your name.
And we're back, Drew, and I'm really excited about this one. This is something we've talked about quite a bit, and I'm sure our buddy Rhys would like to be here doing this with us. But Rhys has a broken back. Not actually, but Rhys is slightly injured right now. So he's on the IL for a week, right? We'll probably see him back on Tuesday.
I don't know about slightly injured. His exact words were that his nephew jump kicked him in the back while they were watching Tarek Skubal. So I don't know if his nephew just got so hyped watching Scoobs go that he just, karate kicked. I picture it in my brain as Rhys got karate kicked in the back. So shout out, rest in power to Rhys right now for sure. So
yeah, I don't blame him for taking a little bit of time off as well. This is the dog days of baseball in a sense, but we're getting into some really fun stuff. But this is your throwback episode. So it's been about a year, so it's hard to put actually accurate grades on these draft classes, right, Drew? But there's a bit of projection that goes into this. Some of these guys are in the MLB already. Some of them are still in the complex. Like there's a wide array of outcomes here. And no better team to start it off with than the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're going to go alphabetical through this thing. Right, about a minute per team. We're going to keep this episode a little bit shorter, minute and a half. So when you look at the Diamondbacks, what jumps off the page at you right away?
Right off the jump, I think you go to round 3, pick 102 overall, Daniel Egan. One of this year's most exciting pitchers, a pop-up guy in many regards. Not if you paid attention to last year's draft class, though, Nate. This is a right-handed pitcher who has excelled, if I'm not mistaken, just promoted to high A after a streak of very successful games in Class A ball. Really excited for what I've seen out of him. Looking at my FYPD ranks, just to give it a quick fantasy spin, I had him as high as 68th at times. Then you look at just the guys drafted ahead of him, man. Slade Caldwell was a very popular prepster, kind of adjacent to the Corbin Carroll make, but Ryan Waldschmidt out of the University of Kentucky, obviously the SEC guy is the one that I'm gravitating towards. A data darling who for the first half of this minor league season, man, looks like he might be one of the most explosive players from this draft that wasn't already in the majors, I should say. What do you think looking at this? Like who are you drawn to?
They have two guys who I would put in the top 100 of prospect lists. And to do that a year after is no easy feat. I mean, obviously, Waldschmidt and Caldwell both went for slot, and both were very good picks where they were taken, and both are cromulent prospects. Well, the ceiling for Caldwell sometimes scares me a little bit. There isn't a whole lot of power in that bat. It's like the Corbin Carroll without power kind of thing, but you never know. Waldschmidt, I prefer to Caldwell right now, but I do think that they're pretty close to each other as far as prospects go, and having two top 100 prospects. I mean, you can't complain about that, right?
No, absolutely not. I know that JD Dix has his kind of supporters as well. Titus Sissel had a couple of supporters. I know that a guy like Connor Foley has still got some way that he can go upwards through the ranks as well. Arizona is a team that I think always does fine in the draft, but to have made such a splash and such a great splash with their first two picks, I think they've got to be at least middle of our tier list. If
I would
higher.
put them hesitantly in A right now, knowing that we have an S tier above that. Okay, that is probably reserved for a couple teams. Do you think it's a hesitant A just because of those first two picks?
I do. I think a hesitant A, like you said, 2 top 100 picks out of a 20-round draft. Fabulous work. You've done amazing.
And we'll cross-reference at the end to make sure people are in correct tiers, but let's put a hesitant A there. Moving ahead to the Athletics, Nick Kurtz, who is set to win AL Rookie of the Year just a year after he was drafted. Tommy White, Gage Jump are some other names that jump off the screen right away. Drew, I mean, this is a really fun draft class. I already know where I'm going as far as ranking goes for our tier list, but I want to hear your thoughts on this A's draft class.
So let's if you're following along at home, I just want to point out that in the 20th round, the Athletics decided they were going to just put everything on the table and try their best to get an insane prepster named Dylan Volantis, who is the closer for the Texas Longhorns. If you know me, I do not compliment Texas at all. But Dylan Volantis is that guy. He is the truth. # Paul Pierce. Going up the list, though, dude, you've got Dylan Feen, who is Gavin Feen's older brother. So you know there's talent there. Josiah Romeo had some talent. Rodney Green Jr. may have been one of the most athletic players, toolsy players with questionable methodology to getting there. JKG, Joshua Kuroda-Grauer with Rutgers was as solid as they come. Maybe has floundered a bit in his pro career. Then you get to the big three, man. Nick Kurtz, absolutely insanity. I mean, you could leave Kurtz off of this list, and I think we'd still be a comfortable B, considering Tommy White has decided he can hit for more average, despite some kind of odd things with his swing. Gage Jump, insane jump up this year, and I hate to be that guy to use that joke. But then JKG, I think this is safely a B, but when you add Kurtz to the mix, this is an S. This is one of the best classes we'll see.
Gage Jump might have been the best pick in this draft, if we're talking about non-first round guys. Gage Jump is a top 40 prospect in baseball, according to my top 100. That might be out tomorrow, might be out Saturday for free on X. Gage Jump is an incredible player. And then Nick Kurtz, you have one of the best young baseball players in the league. Like, I don't know what else you can say. This might be the best draft class we encounter all day. Let's put them in the S tier.
And just to further it, Nick Kurtz didn't even sign for slot. They saved $1.37 million on getting arguably the most exciting first baseman in baseball. I mean, if he's not, he's top 5, but just absolutely redonkulous. Great
First base prospects don't normally get me excited. Nick Kurtz does. Moving on to the Atlanta Braves here. Cam Caminiti in the first round for slot. And then you look down the board, and there's some fun names that we've seen pop up in the lower minors this year. Owen Carey is one that I look at. Titus Dimitru, who has now been traded. Mason Garrett. Like they did hit on some later round guys. Eric Hartman is a guy in the 20th round who has absolutely killed it so far. Granted, they paid up for him in the 20th. They saved a little bit of money. But like Eric Hartman and Owen Carey are carrying the lower minor league hitters for the Braves right now. That's my analysis, though, Drew. What do you think about the Braves draft class?
I love that because honestly, with the Braves, we struggle sometimes. I say we, I don't want to speak for you. I struggle sometimes to find batters in this system, the offense. But Hartman and Carey are two of the guys that jump to mind for me. And I love that the Braves are able to scoop them in that kind of second half of the draft. Even honestly, we can call 15th the back quarter of the draft, essentially. But looking back through here, man, I love Herrick Hernandez. This is a young fella who came from the ACC, from Miami, has some sick stuff, really just needs some development. So when I saw he was going to Atlanta, who have been kind of a mecca for pitching development for the last decade or a half, maybe, I felt pretty good about that. Luke Sennard, another guy in kind of the same mold, just a big bodied fella that I think they could make into a weapon. Carter Holton, obviously a gentleman I watched quite a bit of, as you would imagine, the lefty. Caminiti's looked good this year. I would say this one probably a safe B because I think the splash has come from later in the draft, but I think there's still upside there. I could be even convinced maybe to put this at a C, Nate. I'm not sure.
I was somewhere between B and C.
Should we go for C?
I think we go C for now. I don't think Caminiti is necessarily your dream first round pick a year later. I think that's my biggest takeaway. And the first round pick does matter more than maybe I'd like it to. Eric Hartman has 5 home runs and is hitting 250, 360, the 122 WRC plus in single A as a 20th round prepster from Canada. Pretty cool stuff. Let's move along to the Baltimore Orioles, highlighted by Vance Honeycutt, Austin Over, and a couple other players. Down the board, you got some fun guys. Nate George is hanging around over there. What do we think about this Orioles draft class? I'm not the biggest fan.
I think after the draft, I really liked this class a lot, but I feel like now with the benefit of hindsight, it's more difficult to be so glowy about it. I think that Honeycutt has the exact problems we said he would have. It's a tool shed with a questionable approach. Griff O'Farrell, boring in the best way. He's exciting in that he's so consistent without much ceiling. Ethan Anderson, I still think might be okay. Again, RIP Rhys, not just for your back, but for Austin Overn. He might put stuff together, but I don't know really exactly. Nate George right now is looking like the gem of the class. And again, such a late round pick. They did pay up for the preps for $455,000. But I think this is, again, about a C. I think a year removed, Nate, I would have said this was probably a B, maybe even a low tier A, but I think this is a C again.
I agree. I would go C. I think that there's potential for this to be a D if you didn't have Nate George in this class. I mean, Vance Honeycutt looks like he will not be a Major League Baseball player after 1 year, which is such a crazy statement to make. He's striking out 42% of the time and hitting 170. It doesn't matter how good at defense you are. We saw with Denzel Clark, he had to hit, home runs or for average before he could even get the call, and he's a better defender than Honeycutt ever will be. So it's a flawed profile. It's a tough first-round pick. I think C is the perfect spot for them. Let's move right along to the Boston Red Sox, who took Braden Montgomery and then traded him away. So we do have to kind of consider that in this exercise. But Peyton Toll and Zach Earhart, Brandon Clark, this is one of my favorite classes, Drew. I right away am A or S, but I want to hear what you think.
I think that we need to wait. Okay. If Montgomery was still in the system, it's an S, especially because we've seen Tolley. I mean, I don't even know that rocket ship is an appropriate enough term at this point.
It's a top 40 pitching, top 40 prospect.
A top 40 prospect. And it's such a rapid ascent that it has been truly special to watch. But then you look again, like we said, further down the board at guys like Brandon Clark. You look at a guy like Brandon Neely that could still, maybe develop into something further down the line. This is a special class. I am going to say A, because I think if Montgomery were still with Boston, we could very comfortably put this in an S, and maybe I think the only one we've heard so far that even rivals it is the Athletics. But without Montgomery, I think it's a safe A, a comfortable A for right now.
I'm going to move them ahead of the Diamondbacks is what I'm going to do in the A tier. I think it's bordering on S, and maybe we'll take a look at the end and see what other classes we like. Let's go right ahead to the Chicago Cubs here. Cam Smith, another player who was traded, which makes this a tough one to think about. But a couple fun players down the board here, Drew. A couple in maybe the middle rounds, I should say. What are your thoughts on the Cubs draft, and how do you rate this with Cam Smith no longer on the team?
It's odd because the second name that I'm most drawn to here is Ryan Gallagher out of UC Santa Barbara. They went back-to-back UC Santa Barbara. That's kind of sick. I didn't really think about that until just now. But Ryan Gallagher traded to the Twins, if I'm not mistaken, after kind of, again, having a bit of an ascendant year. The fact that my favorite two guys out of this class have been traded makes me almost want to put this class at a C or D right now.
I think for the purpose of this exercise, we should assume that people are still on their team because we should grade the draft class based on the players they drafted.
Okay.
Right? Doesn't that feel right?
That feels like the most fair way to assess it. I think that would then bump Boston to
up.
an S, and I think that we could put the Cubs. I'm still leaning maybe like a low B here.
I'm B or C. I think we put him in B for now, and we evaluate. Cam Smith has been a very good player, and he's been in the MLB, which makes it even harder to value.
I think that honestly, I value that so much more. I think that guys like Smith, Kurtz, Chris Moore, who we'll get to in just a minute, I think that I see that as being so much more valuable because, you took a guy who could have benefited you so much quicker. And in the case of Smith and especially Kurtz, in such a positive way. I feel like low B here because, again, looking up and down the list, some of these guys will pop off eventually, but thus far, the two that I do like, the Cubs have traded, which, again, they are pushing for it this year, so we can't fault them that much, I guess.
Moving ahead to the Chicago White Sox, there's a big stain at the top of this draft class, and that is Hagen Smith, who will not be in our top 100 when we do release that coming up here soon, and is quite frankly looking like one of the scarier picks of last year's draft right now, maybe the biggest bust of all if you were to go a year after the draft. I don't want to label him yet, but the command has been a problem. But then you go down the board and things start to get fun. Caleb Bonnemer, very, very good player. Sam Antonacki, very great player from Coastal Carolina. it felt like was being undervalued all year, similar to a Coastal Carolina catcher that we both really like. Jack Young in the 9th round is one of my favorite relievers in baseball, in the minor leagues at least. You can see him on the Dynasty Closer hierarchy. Signed him for only $7,000. And then looking down the board, Lyle Miller Green, Liam Paddock, 2 names I really like as far as pitchers go. Drew, what are your thoughts on the Chicago draft class?
I want to shout out Lyle Miller Green. I've never met another fan of him other than myself, Nate. So it would be that you are the fan of him. I love Lyle Miller Green's story. He played at Austin P University. Let's go P. Love that. I do want to shout out 2 other guys that you didn't really mention. Aaron Combs, Tennessee. Speaking of just a solid reliever, Combs was always a guy you could count on to get some outs and just be a real gamer out there. This is not really deep analytics so much as just the guy goes out there and impacts the game, and that's something that we still need to take advantage of. Blake Shepardson, I thought was a really interesting pitcher. I'm not really sure what he's going to be long term. And then again, just looking at guys that didn't make it to the team, Miles Bailey, a prep guy that ended up at Florida State, and big power. Excited to write his report. This is a system, or a draft, excuse me, that I think, Nate, we really have to. It's being buoyed by Antonaki and Bonnemer, though. So
Correct.
How much do we value them? I think kind of out comes the grade here, and I'm leaning towards high C, unfortunately.
I was low B or high C. I think high C is the right place because they did take a bit of a swing and a miss at the top of the draft. So I think we go C for the White Sox ahead of the Braves and Orioles, though.
I know that we're trying to move along. I do think we're like 10 teams in, which is pretty good. But what do you think the odds are? And we'll just set this at just like a percentage chance. How about that? Just for a quick game time.
Yeah.
What are the odds Hagen Smith is a major league reliever even at this point, Nate?
High, very high. It's 2 very good pitches from the left side.
Yeah.
I think he'll get a chance to start in MLB because there's no one else keeping him from doing that on the White Sox right now. But I don't think it's going to be pretty, and I think it's good. He needs a lot more time. But the White Sox continue to kind of push their pitching prospects a little higher than maybe they should.
It's an interesting approach they're taking, especially when really they don't have to rush them. I think that being patient with a guy like Smith to see what other control can develop, like you said, 2 electrifying pitches from the left. You don't get that all the time. Just make the best of this situation. Let's not make it a wasted pick, I guess. But sorry, Nate, let's move on to Cincinnati, shall we?
Cincinnati, man, this is where I'm starting to realize maybe I like too many of these draft classes because this is a team that I look at and I say S right away. So maybe we're going to have to readjust at the end of this if we're too top heavy, or maybe we're just getting the best to start. Chase Burns, Tyson Lewis, Mike Sirota. That is a big 3 if I have ever seen one. Tyson Lewis is one of Rhys's favorite prospects right now. I believe he's going to be right around the 50 mark in our top 100 update. That's a very good prospect. Mike Sirota is around a top 50 prospect as well. Now on the Dodgers, that trade sucked for the Reds, but we're not going to hurt them too much in this exercise. And then Chase Burns looks like an MLB level SP2 or SP1, which is something that is very rarely found. He obviously rose very quick, kind of following the Skeens route. Chase Burns might be the best player in this class when we look back in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I have nothing else to say other than S for me.
I'm with you, S. I think that let's just look at it like this, right? Burns was in contention to go 1-1 even when this class was still fresh and before it had all been decided. Burns, again, such a rapid ascent. And the fact that he is a major leaguer is tremendous in his favor. But if he were still a prospect, he'd be a top 3 prospect. In any self-respecting list, he'd be a top 3 prospect. So we have to consider, again, with Burns, Lewis, and Sirota, one of which is a top 5 prospect if he were still qualified. The other 2 top 50 prospects. And you go down the board a little further to find some interesting guys. Like, I'll tell you a guy that's really bizarre, but you kind of got me looking at it more and more, is Ryan McChrystal out of East Carolina. Just odd profile that, I don't know, maybe it works, and just a strange dude to kind of follow. Peyton Stovall's not awful. Just interesting class. I do think that it's maybe the lowest tier S thus far, but actually I don't know.
Right
maybe
above the Red Sox, between the Athletics and the Red Sox.
Yeah,
is where
okay,
I
can deal with that. That's fair. 3
Moving on
top
to
50s.
Yeah, right. I think that's a little bit better. It's on pace with the Red Sox. Cleveland Guardians had won 1 last year. They took Travis Bazzana. After that, not a whole lot of crazy hits in my opinion. Bazzana, where are you at on Bazzana right now, Drew? Because I have mixed opinions.
I'm struggling not to really crash out on him. And I think that's the best way I can say it. It is not what you want to see. That said, he has dealt with some injuries. This is his first full season of affiliated ball. I think next year's pivotal for Travis Bazzana. I'm not totally out, but I am cautiously just observing from afar, I guess I could say, especially from a fantasy take. From a fantasy perspective, I'm really kind of hands off right now. I will say though, Braylon Dowdy looks phenomenal. Joey Oakey could still be something. Was really, there's potential there. And then Chase Mobley, I thought could be something as well, a little bit further down. Certainly not as many deep shot, like I'll call them like 3-pointers from downtown from the team, like, you know, that 15 through 20 range. You don't have as many, like, oh, sick, that guy's really good, top 10 guy for the team. But there's potential here. I do think this is, again, going to be maybe a low-tier B for me, though, just because Bazzana has not been the cannonball splash you were hoping for.
I was right there with you. I was C or B. I think we go at the back end of B behind the Chicago Cubs, and I think we just move on from it. The Bazzana discussion is an interesting one, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to have a fully formed opinion as far as one way or the other. I think I'm still somewhere in the middle.
It's so okay to be gray, Nate, like to be in the gray on this guy. He's not a finished product.
We learned it from Rhys. Stay in the middle. Never get hurt. Colorado Rockies, what an interesting class. Charlie Condon has had one of the most interesting 12, 13 months out of any prospect. And then you see Brody Brecht at pick 38. You and me are huge Brody Brecht guys, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. Filth. I mean, absolute filth. And what you've wanted to see from Brody Brecht is, my brother in Christ, can you please command your pitches just a little more? And what has he done? He's had a little bit more command. It's fabulous. Looking even further down here at another pitcher, LeBaron Johnson Jr. out of Texas. Again, I said it earlier. I don't tend to compliment Texas, but my God, guy could pitch. And again, people at home are going to pitch the same old tired agenda they always have. But pitchers in Colorado, they just won't work. They can work. Will they is a matter of, like any other prospect, will they work? But it can work. And I think that if anybody, I really like the shot of Brody Brecht to do it. It is an sickening slider, a high velo, good moving fastball. Those are pitches that play well at altitude. The Magnus effect really does not trample those pitches' value and movement as much as it does others. I think Brecht could be a star. And Nate, I'm not as down on Charlie Condon as you and Rhys are. I'm not like tripping over myself to go out and get the guy or like put him at the top 100, but I think he's closer to top 100 than he is to outside 200 or whatever.
Yeah, I think I would have him somewhere 120-ish. I think if we're just in wait-and-see mode, kind of see what he develops into, see if that power comes back.
Okay, here you go. Would you rather, right now, would you have rather had Charlie Condon or Travis Bazzana?
Travis Bazzana.
Okay. That's interesting.
Proximity, floor. And Jared Thomas was in this class too, who is
fabulous.
A great baseball player. Just a solid baseball player.
Perfectly cromulent outfielder, particularly for Colorado.
How do we feel about B for Colorado?
I like that a lot. Fair.
I feel like a lot of people would be like C. I think we're a little higher on this class than others.
I do too.
All right. Gosh, there's a lot of names on this list. All right. I'm going to try and speed it up here, but knowing us, man, we're just going to keep talking because we're just talking ball. This might be the most names we've thrown out on an On Deck podcast ever.
I think it is.
We're just going through naming guys we like. Detroit Tigers, Bryce Rayner, Owen Hall, Michael Massey down the board. I liked him a lot last year. Yeah. What stands out as far as this class for you, Drew?
Bro, we can start at the comp round B. Ethan Schiefelbein was a guy that I loved. Prepster was one of my favorites. I forget who it was. I'm going to credit Kylie McDaniel. I'm pretty sure it was Kylie that said Ethan Schiefelbein looked like a lion that was taunting its prey. Whenever he would suddenly like switch like the disposition of a pitch mid at bat just to tinker with himself, because it's like an apex predator going against like something lower down the food chain. It's just a test for you at this point. And then even further down, looking at a guy like Lucas Eisalt in round 13, we've already seen the Tigers trade this guy for value, and I think that that's got to be worth something for sure. I think this is another one of those wait and see classes, though, because guys like Hall, Schiefelbein, even Bryce Rayner to
We
a
haven't
degree.
seen a lot from Brainer.
Yeah, hasn't been as much visually. So I think we're in the same boat
Do you
as
think
we
that's
were
a
last year.
B or a high C? I mean, I really like Rayner, but the truth is that he hasn't played a whole lot.
I think if we want to be bold about this, and in a year we look back and feel better, B. But if we're being honest with ourselves right now, it's probably a C.
I think we go top of C and we maybe adjust from there.
I think that we also have some back end Bs that probably need to be with this team, but that's fine. We'll get to it in a little bit.
Houston Astros. I'm just going to let you take it away here because I did not like this class at all, and I'm curious to see if you have any contrasting opinions.
It's not going to be many. I think Joe Sullivan in the 7th is interesting.
Yep.
Walker Yannick could maybe be a defensive second half of Major League catch. D.
It's the worst class we've talked about.
This is not great. And I mean, again, consider, didn't get to pick again until pick 101. That first round pick really was not ideal. This system needed an Xavier Nyans worse than I think any of us knew that they needed an Xavier Nyans. Like that guy is going to look like an absolute supernova next to this here. So, yeah. I think comfortable
I couldn't
D.
agree more. Yeah, I could.
Do you have a tier lower than D?
I do not.
Okay, well, I had to ask.
Kansas
All
City.
Right, here we go.
No, sorry.
Here we
actually, I'm just gonna let you do this. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Here we go.
Plenty of Tennessee guys in there.
Now we're talking. I'm not even going to start with the Tennessee guys. Let's go down the list. Kyle DeGroat at 14. Interesting pitcher. Prep guy, Northeast, if I'm not mistaken. Nate Ackenhausen. Sounds like one of your cousins, probably. Another guy, pitcher, LSU. Going up the list, Dennis Collaring. Could be a really interesting arm. Pretty sure he's going to be a reliever if he's not already a reliever. LP Longavon from Lafayette, I believe. Another sickening relief prospect there. David Shields. Money. The kid is a freak show. Absolute cash. Love him. Maybe one of my favorite 20, 30 prospects in the game right now. Not best, favorite. Then you get to a guy, Jack Caglione, at the top, who, if we're going to credit Major League success, Nate, I think you got to bump him up. It hasn't been what we wanted to see out of him, but, I mean, he was raking AAA over the coals so hard that at this point, it's like we said probably 20 episodes ago, why is he not in the majors? He needs to be learning on the job. And then you get to a guy like Drew Beam from Tennessee, who is as steady Eddie as they come. Very little to pick against, and very little ceiling, if I'm being honest. But I mean, I'd be comfortable putting this guy as my Major League number 5 by May next year. He's just so steady. AJ Causey, an incredible reliever in his own right, but has looked even better since kind of developing that cutter. When I spoke with AJ earlier this season, said that the cutter was such an interesting pitch for him to add, gave him a new weapon, and with the Royals putting him into late inning work, it's really shined. Like Causey a lot. Curious what you think.
I love David Shields. I really like David Shields. I would put these guys in an A.
I'm glad you said that. I feel like it would be a little too homery to say A, but I'll agree with you. I think that not only do we have the big name at the top in Cags, you've got the guys who are performing in like Shields, Causey, I would even call in some others. But then you've got guys that could be something down the road as well with just an uptick here or there. So yeah, I think A is good.
Moving right along to the Los Angeles Angels with Christian Moore, who did get a cup of coffee in the big leagues before injury. Chris Cortez and Ryan Johnson's a guy I want to highlight a little bit here. Started out as a reliever straight to the big leagues without a minor league game. Now he's starting in the lower minors. Is he still in high A, Drew? Is that correct?
I think that's right, sir. I know that they've done some weird slingshot things with Ryan Johnson out of DBU, who is so interesting, and I think a lot of people wrote him off as dead to rights, especially after the Angels did kind of shotgun him to the majors, if we can use that phrase. But I love what he's doing, and especially now, again, high A. It's interesting to see for him.
Ryan Nicholson's a guy I've seen in person. I've seen quite a few of these guys in person. Ryan Nicholson's a very good good player, and they signed him for $1,000.
Dude, I have to ask because I get so much pushback on Nicholson. He's ancient. I mean, and I love the guy. Ancient for the level. Ancient. I think he's like 24 playing in low A, or was at some point this year. Wasn't just killing the level like he was, but the guy can hit, and I think he's more something than he's absolutely nothing. Trey Gregory Alford, we've heard plenty of reports about. There's been some confliction in kind of what he could be and in the amount of development he needs. That's another incredible piece that they signed. They signed Manny Ramirez's kid, which is sick. I don't really know that he's a prospect, but it's always worth shouting out Manny Ramirez on a podcast. 6th rounder Peyton Olenek, 6'11", 210. Just from the sense of this is an odd look, that guy has got such an opportunity to be a relief piece, if not something more. I think it's more likely than not a reliever. Ryan Prager from A&M, a really interesting lefty as well. Chris Cortez was an absolute freak show flamethrower. Maybe one of my favorite under the radar picks from this draft from any class. Cortez is actually also getting the opportunity to start, which I think is really sick, Nate. If he could kind of rein it in and dial in some of his wildness, he could be a thing. But then, man, this class kind of also, it has Christian Moore, who I am a bit of a Christian whore for. So I'll let you talk about him.
I'm not that high on Christian Moore. I wouldn't put him in a top 100 prospect list if he was still a prospect. And I think people disagree with that. I think you would. Watching him in person, wasn't impressed. I think the defense is really bad. I think there's holes in the swing. And he showed, like, the major league numbers. I don't remember them being that incredible, and I think he started to get exposed. I think he had a couple of highlight plays. Yeah, 79 WRC plus with a high strikeout rate. I mean, it'll be better than that, but I think he's like 100 WRC plus bat with good power numbers. That's kind of what I see from him.
Yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. I think that if he's kind of league average with some fluctuation here and there to be, 101, 102.
He's never going to be like a 4-WAR player. It's a 2-WAR player, and I just don't think it's that valuable. That would lead me to put these guys at the high end of C or the back end of B. I'm curious what you think.
I'm thinking back end of B because I do think that we have to value Christian Moore as a present major leaguer. And even if he is a 2-WAR player, half of the guys that we're talking about as being potentially something won't even be that. I think that, plus, of course, the potential of all the rest. And this might be me being a Christian Moore homer a bit, but I do think that we have to temper expectations. He's not going to be Jeff Kent by any means. And, but could he be... I'm really struggling to come up with a comp right off the top of my head. Danny Espinosa came to mind, but I don't even think that's a good comp right off the rip. Have you got one? Just power primary second baseman?
No, I hate comps. I'm sorry. I'm so burnt out on comps.
That's fine.
I'm so
that's
bad
fine.
at them. I'm so horrible.
But
at comps.
if people at home, he is just a power optimal. Sometimes the glove is clunky second baseman who maybe is a first baseman at the end of the day. I don't think that's still a 0 as much as it's just an imperfect player.
I'd agree with that one. Moving right along to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are highlighted by Kellen Lindsey, who's still in the complex. No, I lied. He made it up to single A this year, 123 WRC plus. He was doing okay, kind of flying under the radar with kind of some hit tool concerns there. And then you go down the board. Guys like Elijah Hainline out of Oregon State, I like quite a bit. Not a whole lot of names for them getting all too excited about. This is kind of in that Houston tier for me, if I'm being honest, Drew. But I want to know what you think.
I do think you're right. While it's on my mind still, I think if you don't mind, can we bump Los Angeles Angels to C? I think that I was being too lenient.
Sure thing. Yep.
The more I think about it, I think I'm going on a lot of maybes. And Christian Moore, if Christian Moore is a league average regular, that does need to buoy the system a bit, but I don't think it can buoy it all the way up to B right now. That's just me being really, really critical. That said, Heimline is a good call. Tunic, I know a lot of people are really into as kind of that kind of prep buzzy. This is maybe what you wanted PJ Morlando to be. We'll talk about Morlando a little bit more in a minute. Chase Harlan, again, kind of in that same boat. What could he be? Kellen Lindsey, what could he be? I don't dislike this as much as Houston's, but I think that for the sake of fairness, it needs to be with Houston.
I would agree with that. I'm throwing him right into the D tier, and we are on to Miami with the aforementioned PJ Morlando right there. A couple other fun prospects littered throughout here. The Marlins did an interesting thing last year. They got a lot of guys I like, but not a whole lot of guys I love, which puts me in a weird position with them, Drew. I do want to hear what you think, though.
No, I absolutely agree. One guy that is not talked about nearly enough is their 18th rounder, Nate Payne, who has really, really excelled this season. Never gets the praise. I need to tweet about him or something. But Nate Payne, incredible and a great first name, if you will, for the Prepster. Having a really strong season. Check him out if you haven't looked him up. Going up the list a little bit, Grant Shepardson, another pitcher named Shepardson that I liked from this past year's draft. Go figure. Gage Miller. I think a lot of people really wanted this Alabama middle infield guy to be kind of Gunnar Henderson more than anything else. I think your closer option to that's going to be Carter Johnson, two picks earlier. Aiden May could maybe be a thing still. Morlando, I love the intangibles with him, and the on-field skills aren't awful, but some of the stuff with Morlando, like, didn't he hurt himself weightlifting or something insane?
He is a highly disputed. I think a lot of people dislike Morlando from the conversations I have. I am in that bucket. I think that there's a lot of tools. Will he ever put them together? He looks like the kind of guy that might not ever put them together. But you have to keep in mind that 90th percentile outcome is a very good player. With that being said, going off what we've seen in a year, I'm not seeing anything that would move the Marlins anything higher than a C. And I would even consider D.
I think that Nate Payne is the only thing keeping me from putting it in D, but then at the same time, I think I like this because Payne has done something better than the other two Ds, but I can't say it anything more than a D, honestly, man.
No. All right, let's do it. We'll put him at the front end of D for now.
Okay.
Moving right along, the next team that we're going to look at is the Milwaukee Brewers, who always do something fun on draft day, and they did as well last year. In 2 years, this might be the best class because someone random is going to pop. Looking right off the bat, Braylon Payne in the first round. Considered a reach by many, but that's just what the Milwaukee Brewers do. Save some money to get guys like Bryce Meckage down the board. Drew, what do you think of this class?
Stop me if you've heard this one before. The Brewers do something awesome. Like you said, the money savings on Braylon Payne in the moment, you're like, what is this? This is such a strange pick. This guy wasn't supposed to go to round 3. What is this trash? And then 10 months, 8 months later, we're talking about Braylon Payne like a possible top 100 guy. I like Blake Burke. Tell me if you could have saw that coming. Bryce Meckage, as you said. Chris Lavonis obviously didn't make it to the Brewers, but fabulous pick there. Marco Dinges is a great player, great prospect. Mason Molina has already been traded twice, if I'm not mistaken. Just a very interesting arm out of Arkansas. Going down further, the prep arm, Ethan Dorches, has had an amazing year. And then one more guy I'll shout out, Tyson Harden from Mississippi State, another fabulous pitcher who's really performing well. We can't let the Brewers keep getting away with this. I think at worst an A. Maybe high B, actually.
I was thinking high B.
Okay.
Because there's no carrying player in this class. There's no current top 100 player.
I think Payne is probably the closest to it, but he still has warts to comb out. Or you don't comb warts to solve?
Freeze? I don't know.
He still has warts to freeze and do the gimmick with, but between Harden, Dorches, Molina potentially, Marco Dinges, Bryce Meckage, even Blake Burke, I think there are plenty of guys that if Braylon Payne kind of slides, we could see them kind of take that lead. So.
Moving on to the Minnesota Twins, who this draft class is led by Jay Tomasin. No, I'm joking. Kalen Culpepper has been absolutely awesome this year, along with Dasan Hill. What are your thoughts here? Those are the two guys I look towards right away. Kyle DeBarge has been really fun as well. Kadeem Diaw, I don't 100% know the pronunciation there. There's a guy who's popped a couple times for me when looking at the numbers. Where are you at the Twins? I quite like Culpepper and Hill.
I still just feel really bad for Jay Thomas and catching the stray there. No, it's cool. I doubt he's listening. If you are, what up, Jay? I actually like you instead of Nate. Culpepper's great. Kyle DeBarge could be a thing. Billy Amick, if I'm not mistaken, I think Pipeline has him as like a top 10 third base prospect, which is
Really?
A decision you could make. Desan Hill, fabulous. Kadeem Dial does pop. I'm not sure that Dial is going to be much more than just kind of empty batting average, but I mean, Luis Arraez has made a pretty good amount of money. Yeah, I think this is an interesting class. It is very much anchored by that top 5 picks, but man, if you're going to get anchored, that's a strong way to do it. I feel pretty good about maybe a mid-tier B.
Yeah, I agree. I think Culpepper and Hill definitely
Mhm.
elevate them. We'll throw them somewhere in the middle B for now.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. The New York Mets, Carson Benj, one of my favorite prospects in baseball, top 30 guy for me. I think I might have been about 19 in my top 100, maybe a little aggressive there, but I like it. Will Watson is a guy at USC who's become an incredible pitcher. Ryan Lambert is the kid who throws 102 in the minor leagues, one of my favorite future closers in baseball. RJ Gordon out of Oregon is a very good player. I really like this class from the Mets. I really do. Santucci, I didn't even mention Nate Dome. You can go through this whole list. This is one of my favorite drafts without maybe multiple stars, but a lot of really good players down the board combined with that superstar and bench.
No, I agree with you completely. Lot of pitching. Lot of pitching here. And I remember the day of the draft thinking, like, I wonder what they're going to do with Benj, because, he was two-way guy for a moment as well. And I'm glad they stuck him in the outfield. But, man, just again, Santucci and Dome. You got a guy like you said, Watson, Lambert at 102. A guy like Tanner Witt even further down the board. Just a strong class. I'm leaning
I'm
A
A
here. Yeah.
middle A. It's a top 10 class. Going over to the other side of New York, we got the Yankees, who typically don't draft in a fashion that I always love. But Ben Hess and Bryce Cunningham are a fun little pitcher duo at the top of their draft class. Past that, a couple other pitchers I like. They went very pitcher heavy in the first round. I forgot about that. Yeah, first 7 rounds. There's a couple guys I like, and they're no stars in my eyes, though, Drew. What are you thinking?
Yeah, they had a no-hitter going into the 7th round here. I really like Brendan Jones a lot. That's been a guy that if you've followed me for any kind of amount of time over the last year, you've heard me talk about him consistently. An outfielder from Kansas State, solid defense, really exceptional speed, is coming around with the power too. I think this guy could be a steal in the 12th round. Not quite the from downtown 3 that I was talking about a minute ago. Very solid. Up the board a little bit with some of those pitchers there. Man, power 5, big time stuff guys. Griffin Herring, Grayson Carter, Gage Zeal, Thatcher Hurd, and then as you said, Bryce Cunningham, and the guy here is Ben Hess.
I like Ben Hess quite a bit.
I do too. I like Hess. He could be a big deal for the Yankees. Interesting class. I'm gonna say B here. Maybe low tier B. What do you think?
Very interesting. I was gonna go C. So here's my thing: is some of these other classes that we have in C, like even the Angels had a Christian Moore, Detroit had a Bryce Rayner, guys who still look very good. I would say the White Sox had a better draft than the Yankees if I'm looking at it.
I agree with that. That's true. Without
I would
seeing
rather
the
have
list in front of,
Bonnemer and Santucci than a Hess and Cunningham at this point.
yeah,
Not
without
Santucci,
seeing
sorry,
the list,
Antonacki.
no, that's okay. I get what you mean. Yeah, I think C
Middle
is
of
better.
C? A middle of C?
Yeah,
And we'll compare
yeah.
later.
Yeah, yeah. I should have been taking notes about where we're putting these teams.
Philadelphia Phillies now. And Drew, I'm just going to send this over to you. I did not like this draft. I still do not like this draft. Carson DeMartini is maybe the only guy who I have a little bit of hope for. Griffin Burkholder is a fun name. Where are you at with your Phillies draft?
It's not great, man. It's not great. Jared Spencer was an interesting name. Didn't sign. Marcus Morgan might be a reliever someday. I thought Joel Dragoo was one of the more interesting guys that didn't really get a lot of plug from Presbyterian. John Spikerman might be a utility infielder someday. Dante Nori is at least got upside.
If Dante Nori can hit, he's a good player. A very good fielder. He runs very well. I believe.
It's a good runner, good glove, but I mean, he's got to hit because we can't have, excuse me, I say we like I'm affiliated. The Phillies have got to have some kind of offense in the outfield eventually. I'm going to put this at a D though. I haven't seen anything to really write home about with Nori. or Burkholder, excuse me. Dragoo has been disappointing. DeMartini might be the one you could point out and say, but what about? But I'm just not encouraged.
Let's move
This
to the
is a
Pittsburgh.
far cry from the Phillies strategy of just draft guys Drew likes from this
The
year.
Phillies had a much better draft in 2025. We can say
they
that.
ever?
They took some notes. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who really have one player to talk about here. Something interesting down the board I'm going to get to really fast. Matt McShane, who's now Boston Red Sox. Really fun reliever. This is just me going through relievers I like, is pretty much what this is down the board. Connor Griffin was taken 9th overall, is now the number 1 prospect in baseball. That is a great draft pick. Other than that, Levi Sterling's okay. Wyatt Sanford's okay. There's a couple of guys who are like, okay.
Josh Hartle's not bad.
This is all about Connor Griffin and how much you value that pick at 9, which is probably very high, as Connor Griffin appears to be Paul Skeen's running mate as of right now. And how high can you put them? Sorry, I didn't give you a whole lot of time for analysis. Are there any guys that you want to talk about down the board? There's not a whole lot here, in my opinion.
No. I weighing it out, I'm leaning towards B, because again, I think if using your Christian Moore argument, if Moore is a major leaguer and we put him at C because it's Christian Moore and the what could be's, this is Connor Griffin in the what could be's, and Connor Griffin, he himself is still a what could be. While he's the best what could be, I think you got to go B, just because it's him and a handful of I don't know what yet. So
yeah, I would put them towards the top of B is what I would do.
I think that's fair. I think
that makes a lot of sense to me. Going right along to the San Diego Padres, who went lefty to start the draft. Cash Mayfield and Boston Bateman. And then we keep looking at this board here. A lot of these guys are now Orioles.
Yeah, they are.
Like 4 of these guys, maybe 5 of them are now Orioles. 5, I think. That's very interesting to me.
Wow.
Wow. In the 19th round, they took a guy I played against, Vicardo Domingo, a very good player out of the University of British Columbia. Tyson Neighbors was a player I loved. I liked Cobb Hightower. I liked Cale Fontaine a little bit. Other than that, I'm not sold on Cash Mayfield or Boston Bateman.
No, I think Mayfield's probably got more upside at this point. Bateman was kind of going on that weird, the outlier body. Victor Figueroa and Jack Costello may be top 10 prospects in this system now. You can't leave them out. I think that's really interesting. Costello signed for $10,000. But then going up the board, Kavaris Tears could be a freak if he could hit the ball, and I love Tennessee players, as you may have gathered. I think this is another D, though, because the guys that are I need to shout out Kai Roberts as well. He's not awful, but just, I mean, where's the star here, bud? What are we hanging our hat on?
I think they have a lot of guys who have shown at least glimpses.
Yeah. Okay.
This year, to where if we were to put them in D, it would have to be the top of D, in my opinion. I think that these guys show more glimpses than the Miami guys.
Maybe bottom of C then.
Okay, let's put them there for now. I do think that there's still a lot of potential there, even though a lot of these guys have been traded. There's a lot to like long term. Going to San Francisco Giants, who headlining their class, a guy in James Tibbs, who's been traded twice, is now on the Dodgers. Dakota Jordan in the 4th round. Notably, the Giants did not have a 2nd or 3rd round pick, but they got a couple players I like. Jacob Christian's a guy who I've seen all year long, not all year long, recently in High Eugene. A lot of power there. Not so sure it's going to totally work out. I've seen most of these guys play, if we're being honest. So, Drew, I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll tell you how much I dislike this draft.
I don't know. I'd honestly rather hear from you. I thought Greg Ferrone in the 7th was interesting just because he was Alabama, kind of a big-bodied guy. But, I mean, this class at this point, it kind of is, what do you think of James Tibbs? What can Jacob Christian be? And Dakota Jordan is really awesome, and it looks like he's finally been able to hit the ball with some consistency. But, I mean, I don't know, bud. I'm thinking, again, kind of maybe low C, high D. It's not great. It's not great.
I would be more comfortable even putting these guys in D. I do not think James Tibbs is going to be anything, an MLB starter. I don't even think he's an MLB starter. Dakota Jordan, is going to take a lot of work to get him to an MLB starter level. And then you go down the board. Jacob Christian's a flash in the pan kind of guy. Zielinski, I'm not the biggest fan of. Drake George is a guy who I want to highlight because I pitched against him in a playoff game. Me and him went head-to-head.
Nice.
Guess who won? Nate Rasmussen won that game.
Obviously.
First playoff win in Bushnell school history. Therefore, I should have been drafted in the 13th round for $150,000. Sorry. I'm
If
broke.
you had gotten $150,000 and being drafted where Drake George was drafted, would you buy me a steak dinner?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even know you because I probably never. No, I would have worked for Prospects a lot. No, well, yeah, I faced Drake George 2 years ago. Yes, I
Oh,
would have because I
okay.
would have known you, but I probably wouldn't have
Well,
worked here for
okay.
very long. This is a D. It's a high D.
We spent more time talking about steak dinner
Yep.
than the class. It's a
Yep.
D.
It's a D.
Let's go to your team, Seattle.
Ooh, what a fun class.
Odd class.
Durangelo Sanger and Ryan Sloan are top 100 prospects, with
Yeah.
Sloan being in the top 50, in my opinion, and Sanger being closer to 100. Hunter Cranton was an awesome reliever who was traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Still a very good player. Once you go a little bit further down the board, though, things start to get a little weirder. I don't love the down the board picks. Matt Tiberia out of Lynn for $100,000 in the 18th round is a guy who's going to sneak into the top 20, maybe, or the top 30 for Mariners prospects when we're doing top 25s now. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Tiberia, I believe, is coming in at 24th on the Mariners list this year. I had a little influence there, believe it or not.
Okay.
Other than that, Brock Moore is a fun reliever. Grant Knipp is a fun player. Josh Caron has struggled this year, to put it simply. He's a good catcher, in my opinion, has not been able to do it with the bat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. This class is buoyed.
Yeah, very, very much so. I'm not sure what Charlie Bowlinson has done this year, but I liked him a lot as a reliever out of Duke. I'm not sure it's been great because I haven't read his name, so I'm going to assume it's been meh to bad. But, I mean, that's just another guy. I think, again, considering I loved Cranton as well, but, I mean, Cranton, Sloan, Sitja, I feel like, I don't know, 2 top 100 guys. What is that good for you? Like low end B, high C?
We put the Arizona Diamondbacks with 2 top 100 guys in A.
Okay, then what? Thank you. Okay, that sounds good.
So I think we put them at the back end of A,
Okay,
and we readjust.
yeah, okay, that sounds good.
Because I'm starting to think a guy like Connor Griffin should rise above maybe these teams with 2 top 100 guys, but we'll figure it out. St. Louis Cardinals, interesting draft here with J.J. Weatherholt. After that, things got pretty thin for me. I don't know if you have a guy down the board you really like, but I'm having a hard time even picking one name who I'm over the moon about.
Yeah,
past
actually,
J.J. Weatherholt.
I do have some names. Daniil Ortiz is a guy that looks like he might be a guy, kind of, in an odd way. Some numbers are popping with him. Just look him up. Look him up at home. A little bit further up the board, John Gazdar was kind of the running mate of our boy Lyle Miller Green. I always liked Andrew Dukinich the fourth out of Vanderbilt. He was a highly regarded prepster. Is Braden Davis a thing? Question mark. JJ is a freak though. So I think kind of whatever we decide for the Pirates needs to apply at maybe 10% less for the Cardinals. Because JJ is, I mean,
top 10 prospect.
a top 10 prospect who's closer than Connor Griffin. So,
and the rest of the class wasn't great. I think we put them at the low end of B. And with the Pirates being the top end of B, and we might have to adjust those. We'll have to consider it.
Yeah, I think so.
Tampa Bay Rays had a really interesting draft. Theo Gillen is a guy who's been popping lately. Kind of a darling, I feel like, in the scouting community right now. I think everyone kind of likes Theo Gillen. After that, the Rays took a bunch of Rays players. They got some tools. They took some chances. They played some money games. Nathan Flewelling is a fun player. Like, do you have anyone that you really like? Ryan Andrade. I like him. I like him quite a bit. Other than that, Drew, what are you seeing here for the Rays?
I thought Nate Knowles may be kind of interesting. I guess that could still be a thing. Emilian Petre, second baseman out of Kentucky, could maybe be a thing. Tyler Bell was actually my favorite player, not named Theo Gillen, and he ended up with Coach Mingione in Kentucky. He'll be a guy we talk about a little bit later this year in the draft cycle. But yeah, not great, Bob. Not great.
I would put them in the middle of C.
Yeah.
With Theo Gillen buoying them just a bit because they did get a very good player.
Texas
very good player. Rangers, Malcolm Moore, Dylan Dreiling, Casey Cook, Devin Fitzgerald is a guy who has absolutely popped this year. Keith Jones II, one of the most underrated players in the minor leagues right now. Go look him up. Go pick him up in your fantasy leagues. Keith Jones. They took Kate Obermuller. I forgot about that. Boy, would I love for Kate Obermuller to be in professional baseball already because I don't believe he's pitched yet. Threw a lot of innings at Iowa. What are your thoughts on this Rangers draft? It's a whole lot of there's pieces here, Drew. I don't know what you think.
I'm with you. There are pieces here. I mean, I think if we, what do we value guys like Keith Jones, Devin Fitzgerald, Casey Cook, Dylan Dreiling, who are all putting it together, but are low enough down the pecking order that I don't know. I think if you put me to my gut, I'd say low C.
That's where I was going right as well.
Let's go low C then. We
Putting
won't. No need to discuss it.
Right below the Yankees and above the Braves. I don't know.
Okay,
we're just figuring it out as we go. Looking at the Toronto Blue Jays here, Trey Savage, Cal Steven, Johnny King. Talk about a big three. That's one of my favorites I have seen. Down the board, there's pieces. There's not a whole lot that I'm over the moon about, but those three right there, man, do I like those three. Cal Steven now Cleveland Guardian. RIP.
Yeah, but I mean, we're like you said earlier in the exercise, we're kind of. I think Drew's obligatory shout of a player he really likes, 19th round, Bub Terrell. Man, why couldn't that guy have committed to Tennessee? Plays at Auburn, but just good player. Good player. Sick left fielder. The top three is sick, Nate. I'm kind of.
It's 3 top 100 guys, and it's top 40 guy.
I think
2 back end of the 100 guys.
I think
it's an A. I think it's an A as well. I think it's above. I think it's right around Mets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Washington Nationals for our last team. I struggle with this class because there is some upside still here. Taking Seaver King in the first was certainly a choice, and then Luke Dickerson was kind of your save me play, right? If you can call it that. Save a little bit of money on King, and you throw that over to Luke Dickerson in the second. Past that, I'm not a huge Nationals prospect guy to begin with. I'm certainly not looking at this class as well. Drew, is there any saving graces in here?
Sir Jamison Jones has a great name.
That's pretty sick.
But, I mean, the 2 college catchers, really they're big college plays at the top. Seaver King, Caleb Lomavita, Kevin Bizzell. Question marks littered through those profiles.
It's not a safe college. Like, why are we taking scary college guys early?
Exactly.
Luke Dickerson is a 92 WRC plus in single A.
And that's not great. I mean, for Dickerson to be your kind of savior guy that you point at and say, this is the guy. This is the one that's going to make it all work.
Sure, but...
Yeah, and I mean, people love to heap that super unfair Mike Trout, but he looks like Mike Trout at that age, but he looks like Mike Trout. But he's probably just Luke Dickerson. I mean, no offense to Luke, but like, I think this is one of the more meh, if not bad. I'm thinking D here. But
I think in D. I think the middle of D is where I have them. And how about I screen share now and we go over
let's do it.
this this little thing right here.
This little something or other.
You seeing that?
I'm seeing it, bro.
Please forgive all my open tabs and the ads that are popping up. But here we go. All right.
Does that say how to scam my universe? No, okay. I was just misreading. My bad.
Yeah, it does. So we ended with 3 S-tier teams, which were all kind of at the top half of this exercise. So we did come away with 3 teams at the top. When the Oakland A's, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Boston Red Sox. Would you change that order at all, Drew?
No. Kurtz is the clear standout right here. Burns right behind him, nipping at his heels. I very much, oh boy, man, our A classes, great too. I think Mariners and Diamondbacks look good where they're at. I think Pirates need to be right behind the Mariners in A.
Agree. What do you think about no? I don't like any of the guys down the board for the Pirates, but they have the number 1 prospect in baseball.
But yeah, I was about to say, so what did let me look at the Diamondbacks. What did the Diamondbacks have that I really like more? As a collective, Waldschmidt, Egan. I think if you, I mean, really right now, if the Diamondbacks or if the Pirates said, okay, we'll give you Griffin for Caldwell, Waldschmidt, and Egan, they take it all day. So, I mean, I think the Pirates are above that.
I'd agree.
The Mets is where it gets a little sticky, though.
I think there's a clear gap between the Mets and the Pirates when I look at this.
The Mets isn't as splashy at the top, but I think that they've certainly got, I mean, if Benj is good, Santucci is good. I don't know. I still think the Pirates may be over the Mets. Just Griffin is that kind of guy. I would put it there, but I'm not going to fault you for not for disagreeing. When you get to Savage, Kyle Steven, and Johnny King, I could say, whoa. Those could be like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I think shots at the board matters. I think having more guys that have the potential does matter over having one guy, which is why I will put the Pirates over the Mets, but not over the Blue Jays because of the depth of that pitching. 3 guys who could absolutely be stud pitchers in the league. And now this brings me to Kansas City versus Toronto.
I'm with you. I was just about to say, I mean, I think you and I are both big David Shields guys. You have to respect the fact that Cags is already in the show, but then you come back to, okay, who would you rather kind of hang your hat on? The Savage and Johnny King and, I mean, what Cal Steven could be, because, I mean, we have to still consider him there. I don't know. I might put the Blue Jays.
I think the Blue Jays go in front.
I like our S. I like our A a lot.
I agree.
I like
Cardinals
I also like the shape of the bell graph here.
So do I.
I need to point out that I'm glad we have the glut of our teams in the middle. I think we did good.
I agree. I think I would take the Cardinals over the Guardians at a glance.
I agree.
I start to wonder if we rated the Cubs too highly.
I think we did. I like the Rockies more than the Cubs.
So do I.
But
I agree.
How much of this is us just kind of shaking our heads like Brody Brett can make this work?
Yeah, it kind of is.
But I like it.
And Condon could be a
guy.
Player.
Jared Thomas could be a guy.
Can you read
LeBaron Johnson could be a guy.
I like Minnesota more than Chicago. I know Cam Smith is in the big leagues. Minnesota has more shots at the dartboard.
But, I mean, the Cubs, what did you like other than Ryan Gallagher and Cam Smith, buddy?
I just liked Cam Smith. I honestly think the Cubs, I think oh, no.
This is devastating.
No. Yes. We're good.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I think the Cubs go there.
Okay. Yes. I'm not going to argue with that.
The only team I would be like, maybe you push Detroit up to B. I don't think the Angels deserve to be in B.
No, I agree with you there. I think that if I'm going to be critical, I think Detroit has to stay where they're at. Nobody has made a splash this season. We're all just going. I think Detroit could be way better than Los Angeles this time next year, but right now we're just holding on to the maybe when the Angels at least have Christian Moore, who is a thing, for better or worse.
Did the White Sox do so well down the board that they deserve a bump up?
Let me go back to them and I'll just read through some names. I mean, we've got Smith, who is a major leaguer, likely. Bonnemer. I kind of thought Blake Larson may be a thing eventually. Sam Antonacci we talked about. Aaron Combs is a solid reliever.
I like the White Sox at the back of B.
Back of B? Ooh, man, that's bold. Okay. I can go with that.
Is Hagen Smith not Christian Moore in a different font? Both guys fell off top 100s, and they're like, No, right?
I like what you're saying, but then they also have the added benefit of 2 other top 100 guys. You're absolutely right, Nate. You're right. Okay. I love that D looks good. I think we could argue that order. I'm not above. No. Okay. I think Baltimore still has more upside. San Diego still has more upside than D. So I like them there.
What about the Braves?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Who did we like in the Braves? It was all the guys down the board in Caminiti.
Hernandez, Holton.
Okay, so let's go Braves versus like Yankees for a second here. Neither of them have a top 100 guy. Caminiti's closer though. Caminiti could be a top 100 guy for some.
Would you rather have Caminiti or Ben Hess?
I think I'd rather have Caminiti.
Okay.
And I like the guys down the board more.
I could flip Atlanta over New York. I would, the more I think about it, may like Atlanta more than Tampa. No,
Tampa has a very good prospect in there.
How good is Gillen to really buoy that whole system, though?
Well, he's going against Caminiti, Owen Carey, like. Let's be honest, like these 15th, 20th round guys who had 120 WRC plus an A-ball aren't any more of a sure thing. And I'd rather take the guy with pedigree 10 times out of 10.
Okay. I can respect that.
Orioles and San Diego are such an interesting one.
I think even grouping Texas there, because you've got kind of Devin Fitzgeralds of the world to say maybe Griff O'Farrell, Vance Honeycutt, Nate George, maybe one of them is a guy. Maybe Devin Fitzgerald is a guy.
I like San
Maybe
Diego more than both of them.
I think I disagree.
Okay.
I think San Diego. Well, tell me why. I'll hear you out.
Go look at the first 5 names and don't tell me that those all aren't very high potential guys. With guys like Figueroa down the board.
I think I'm being very critical of guys like Bateman, Hightower, and Tiers. I think you and I love Tyson Neighbors, and I think I'm trying to be really generous towards Cash Mayfield. But then with
I would
Baltimore,
take Mayfield over the Texas guys, though, all of them.
I don't feel strongly enough to argue with that point. I'm not arguing it. I think Devin Fitzgerald's looked really good, but again, at A ball, kind of like you said a minute ago, is he just Cash Mayfield in a different font? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're both very young, high upside types. I do kind of think that both of those teams should be ahead of Baltimore, though. I think Baltimore needs to be at the bottom of C.
I think that feels right there.
Yes, I agree with you.
Why are we keeping Baltimore in C? Their first round draft pick is maybe the worst first round draft pick of last year.
That can't be so. There's got to be some worse ones. Malcolm Moore was picked in the first round last year. Walker Yannick was picked in the first round last year.
I guess the defense of Honeycutt, but Honeycutt does not look like he can hit a baseball. Like quite literally, cannot hit a baseball.
So, okay, I'm going to just read names to you and let's make the call. Honeycutt, Griff O'Farrell, Ethan Anderson, Austin Overn, and Nate George? Or would you rather have Dakota Jordan, Jacob Christian?
The team with Nate
James
George wins that. The team with Nate George wins that 10 times.
I think so too. I think so too. I think that alone puts them a safe step above San Francisco. And this is coming from a guy, Nate, who said Dakota Jordan had a 10 hit tool. I have been proven wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's a 30, it's 2 steps above what I said it might be.
Yeah.
And so I'm comfortable taking the L on Dakota Jordan.
How about the D tier? Where's the shuffling in there?
I think the Astros is the worst. I think the Phillies is right above it. The Dodgers did not have a good class. Washington may be worse than Miami, just depending on where you fall on guys like PJ Morlando and Carter Johnson. Let's look at Miami's class one more time. Morlando, Johnson, Gage Miller, potentially. Hey, Nate Payne, actually. I would bump Miami over Washington.
I can get behind that.
Just because Nate Payne has been so impressive. I think this looks solid. I wouldn't argue if somebody's like, put Kendall George and put them over in Washington, but what is Kendall George?
Not much right now.
The fifth outfielder in a team with a team's
7
fifth
outfielders.
outfielder in a team with 7 outfielders ahead of him. Good luck getting traded, kiddo. I don't know.
I think this is it. I think I'm going to screenshot this one and put it on the old Twitter machine, and the people can tear us apart, Drew. I think that's how we got to do this.
Should we smile to go with it?
All right. Well, there you guys have it. That was the. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think we talked about
that.
more names than any other episode of On
That
Deck.
was ball knower territory, and I don't even care that we went long. This is gonna be an hour and a half episode, and that's just what it is because me and Drew came out with a very good list, in my opinion, and we it's true to us, and that's what I love the most about you and me. But let's give these guys a break with the drop teams and come back with some PLive news. Welcome back, everybody, and it's time for some Prospects Live news. What's going on in the PLive world, man? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. The biggest thing I want to tell you guys about is our top 1,500 plus Dynasty rankings update. Drew, as the Dynasty guy, what do we think about this list, man? 1,500 guys?
Man, I will give so much credit to Smata. He has kind of taken this project as his baby this season, and it's it's not a one-man show. That's something that I need to say. While it's not a one-man show, Smotted does the work of 10 men, but still doesn't say, I know best. Ran every single list position by position through our Dynasty chat, got some feedback, implemented that feedback, but this tool, Nate, informs so many of our other tools. It informs the trade matchmaker, the league analyzer, all kinds of things. It's a fabulous tool, and the fact that it's updated right towards the end of your trade deadlines, this is a tool you can't afford to miss. $5 a month gets you access.
To go along with that, we had a podcast going over that top 1500 with Greg, Trevor, and Rhys. What a little crew that is, man. I might have to go listen to that right now.
Yeah.
Andrew Dahl came out with another article. He does some great work on the card side of things with his Who's Up prospect autos with the largest gains. In August, Max Arterburn with the Hobby Plus update number 7. Those guys are so cool, and I could never do what they do, and they deserve all of the flowers in the world. Other than that, Dynasty Baseball Pickups guys, as always, are the goats of life on Earth. Those guys rock. And,
Hi, Taylor. Hi, Kyle.
Daily sheets are coming out, so you guys got some things to look forward to, and the top 100 should be out soon. I don't want to put an official date on it because I don't exactly know when it's coming out. It might be out by the time you're listening to this. If not, check back Monday and you should see it then. All right.
You know, something else that was going on at Prospects Live is an episode of On Deck. We actually talked about that. So if you're wanting some more content kind of teasing that, maybe go listen to the last episode if you didn't.
Dang right. Alrighty, Drew. We did not prepare what's on your mind at all, but I think we should just wing this thing. Let's just draft. Let's just do a draft.
Okay, yeah, let's do a draft.
Just you and me just draft something?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we do like 5 rounds of let's see.
Should we do Star Wars characters?
I was gonna say Star Wars characters, but I feel like Rhys is gonna be pissed if we do Star Wars.
God. Well, Rhys likes everything.
I know, he's the worst. Hey, I tell you what. This is so random, so if you don't feel like doing it, it's not going to hurt my feelings. You remember when I was telling you about the video I saw on YouTube where you talked about what color folders you assigned to each class? Do you want to do that?
Let's just talk about it. Let's just open forum. We don't have to go for long. Let's just open forum this
We don't have to. Let's open forum this. So, guys, essentially the point of this is imagine you as a fresh kiddo with a backpack full of supplies. You're going to the first day of school. You got fresh fit. The kicks are shiny and not being all scuffed yet. Your mom gives you the brand new backpack and lunchbox, and you got fresh new supplies. Going into each class, you're got to decide, though, what color notebook, what color folder do I put with each class? And it's like assignments. So Nate, let's say that the color folders you got a red folder, you got a blue folder, a yellow, a green, and a purple. How about that?
Okay.
Off the top of your dome, where do you put English?
Can I go by color because that's just how this works in my brain for some reason?
Do it. Yeah.
Green is science. Green has to be science. That one makes the most sense in my head. The second one would be red as math. After that, I would normally say, and now this might be a hot take right here, I would say history is blue.
Okay.
I think people want to put English in that one. I would go history there. I would go English is yellow. English is a yellow color to me. Purple is probably like some weird elective you're taking in like middle school. It's like, that's like your ceramics or your drawing and painting, which I notably failed in high school. Don't ask me how I failed drawing and painting.
You failed drawing and painting?
It's a long story. We don't have to get into that right now. Maybe Mom Morass will be back on some other time.
You know that my degree is focused in art. I've taken countless hours of art classes over my life.
You know, like all I do now is make cover graphics and make videos. So yeah, I'm an artistic guy too. A bad teacher, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
maybe I was a bad boy back in the day. I don't know. Things were going on.
You're a bad boy now, Joey Janela.
What?
You're just a bad boy. Okay, I've got to call your bluff here. I think English is blue.
Okay.
I don't. Math is red because I was never good at math, and red is a color of negativity.
I would agree. Are you going
Green,
yellow as history?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
You see, there's no right answer to this.
There's no right answer.
No
I'll switch English and history, and I agree with you that science feels green. Another color folder that I always like to have, I like to have a black folder, and if orange was ever an option, obviously Tennessee orange, like orange. let's say I did have an orange, I would maybe do history as orange. I always liked history. And then black, I could also see me doing as like your odd electives.
Yeah.
Maybe like a social studies or a whatever. Maybe like I'm thinking like middle school in my brain is where I'm going with this, by the way. Maybe black would be like things to carry home, like notes from the office or like,
It's like
hey,
your
have your
planner,
parents
like,
sign. Yeah, planner. There you go.
Yeah. I would agree with that. All right,
Um,
yeah, I would.
I have another question just kind of stemming off of school since we're kind of freeballing this. Excuse me if that was a crass way of saying that, but
It's fine.
since
Fine
we're
with me.
since we're freeballing this, um, electives. I know you played baseball in school. Were you in any like clubs or anything? Did you have time to do anything else?
I did ASB. I was on the student body. And then other than that, it was golf, football, baseball. In the winter, I didn't do jack diddly. I helped out with the booster club.
Okay.
Because I did the social media for our high school.
Checks out.
My junior year, something like that. A couple years there, like planned all the school dances and stuff. But no,
Checks out.
there weren't a whole lot of. I mean, public school, man. There weren't a whole lot of like thrilling clubs. Not a whole lot of funding. It felt like. I wasn't like a theater guy or anything like that. So no, I suppose just the ASB, which I did a bunch of random side tasks for. How about you? What did you do back in the day?
You did side quests. I like that.
I basically my whole life has been a bunch of side quests.
Hey, that's okay, man. You're getting
Yeah.
the XP for the big dance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if you can guess. I've listed 4 things here on what else but a sticky note. I'm gonna see how many you can get.
You did the math. Nope, you hate math. Did you guys have like a trivia club?
Oh
We had
no,
one of those.
man!
Okay.
I would have loved that.
I know. I freaking love trivia.
too.
What even are? Because I would be like Dungeons and Dragons Club, but like that wasn't a thing back
No,
then.
that would have been fun too. I'll tell you. I
No,
don't
give
wanna
me
just
give me
kill-
like a. Okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I. Okay, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. Instead of you guessing, grade them on a like a 20-80 scale, with 20 being what, hello, and 80 being like that's the most true thing I've ever heard. Okay, I was my senior class president.
Hell yes.
Nah, I don't like planning the reunions. I've planned one, and another one is coming up, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I'll be there.
Thanks. Okay, that'll be fun. That'll make it a little bit more worth it. I was on the yearbook staff.
I did yearbook too. Nice.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
sick.
okay.
That makes sense.
I
with
forget
your-
these things. I don't know. Yeah, I
It's
took
okay.
yearbook too.
I was the president of the I forget what it's called, but the marketing society,
Ooh, I don't know if we had one of those.
like marketing courses. I forget what it's called, but myself and a partner went to the state final in sports management marketing and finished second in the state. Pretty cool.
Pretty sick.
It wasn't bad. And then I was also the president of the Spanish National Honor Society.
Wow. Look
See.
at you.
I was accomplished.
You were doing
The
things.
thing now is that, like, you know, I think back and I'm like, I really wish I'd have played baseball. Like, I wasn't good, but I would have had so much more fun. I think looking back and saying like I did it to play with dudes that were my friends, and
High school sports are overrated, in my opinion. That's a hill I'll die on. I thought like being lucky enough to play like travel baseball and stuff, that was way better than high school baseball. People, everything. High school sports suck. If you go to a private school, sorry, this is my whole public versus private thing.
go
Public
please.
school sports suck, man. They really suck. No funding, bad coaches, everything's bad. Everything's bad. Athletic directors, it's everything's tough because no one's making any money. No one's in the game for the right reasons. You know, they're
Yeah.
just there. And some public schools have the best people ever because they're there for not the money, right? But generally, people do a better job when they're paid more money. Is what I've noticed in youth sports and
in anything, Nate.
public schools suffer because of that. So I didn't love sports in high school. I met some cool people, but I would say I've had 20 times more fun in college, obviously, and then recreationally, I always had a lot more fun playing sports.
I understand. Your school was a private school or a public school?
I went to public school.
Okay. So with travel ball, I know we've talked a lot about that, but your opinion of public school is a very it's a very developed one for you to be so young. My question, I guess, is, has Mama Raz influenced this, being that she is, if I'm not mistaken, she's also a public school
My
teacher?
mom is a public school teacher.
Okay.
I think there are definitely struggles with public school teaching, right? I think the pay is uncompetitive. I think Mama Raz had a lot of tough bosses over the years or whatnot. So I've seen the worst sides of public school. But you also see the best sides and like the success stories and, you know, the kids who need the school system to help them and stuff like that. So I don't want to like absolutely poo-poo on public schools because they are obviously so important. But in a place like Seattle, I just feel like I saw a lot of the ugly side of public schools, like a lot of people I'm sure back home have. And that's not to say I like wouldn't send my kids to public school because I definitely grew a lot as a man, matured quick. But I don't know. It's such an interesting debate, and it's something that I don't have a full viewpoint on yet, but I'm developing one, as you can tell.
No, I definitely see. I dropped something in the chat for you to look at just really quickly while I'm making this point. I think that I was made better by going to public school just because I don't know. I feel like there's so much of the hard edge. I don't think that my high school prepared me for college. And when I say that, Nate, I say it to mean essentially, I think I wasn't taught to study properly. I think that I could coast through on kind of just willy-nilly or winging it essentially in public high school, and then in college they required much more of me, and yeah. I don't know, I wasn't prepared as much for it, if that makes sense.
I think it absolutely does. I can't see what you sent me in the
that's
chat,
fine, no big deal.
So whatever you want to talk about, though, we got a couple more minutes, and or you can type it in the.
Yeah, I'll
type podcasting, but
well,
yeah.
I mean, we're like you said, we're just kind of winging it here today.
I miss Rhys, man. I think we had an absolutely awesome ball knowing session earlier today. Rhys brings these what's on your minds all together. I feel like he might be the glue of what's on your mind.
Rhys has got that kind of that je ne sais quoi that really makes it makes what's on your mind special, bud, because he's got such odd opinions on everyday life stuff. Is that fair to say? Anyway, okay, you've seen what I've said. Why don't you bring this up? Because this is a fun tie-in to a past what's on your mind.
Drew has asked if I'm allowed to talk about a date that I went on that I believe I said on the podcast I was going on my first.
You mentioned
date.
The first date, but
so
not
if
the
you
9
recall,
to follow.
Drew and Rhys made me a hinge. A handful of weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Got a date a couple days after that, and it has gone exceedingly well. Hinge has now been deleted. So,
it's what it's designed for.
The Hinge, the app that's designed to be deleted, it has been deleted. Have been going out a lot with this lovely lady, and safe to say, your boy is excited. You know, not putting too much out into the earth there or whatnot. Good vibes only. What a wonderful woman I've met. And your boy has not been this excited for anything in quite a long time. Your boy's been single for a long time. So shout out Rhys and Drew, man. What's going on here? Just instantly, you guys just did this thing. And I guess it is the perspective of older people and me not knowing what is right and wrong most of the time for myself. But I think that you do. So
you just... It's like I told you that night. I feel like man, this is going to be the most big brother stuff I've ever said in my life, but you aren't aware of what a good guy you are and how much the ladies would be into you and the kind of person you are and your drive and your ambition and just who you are. And I think that so much of kind of dating culture now is so geared towards being a highlight reel, and your highlight reel is great, but the fact that your lows are still so interesting and appealing and part of what makes you so special is just great. But this girl, we got to talk about her in a smidge more detail because I believe your exact words were, she's found the podcast. what is you said?
She watched the episode that my mom was on.
Okay, so she watched.
So sometime early when we were, whatever, the podcast, because she was like, oh, what do you do for work, whatever. I'm like, And then at one point she's been into my apartment and saw this. I have so much technology in here that is like, what are you doing? Like, I look like I have enough money in this technology where I should be a bigger like internet personality than I am. Like, I've got expensive stuff in here. You put money into your career. That's what you do, man.
You put money into it.
And then she was just like, oh, wow, you really do podcasts. And I was like, yes. And then she was like, I'm going to find it. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to give you any hints or whatever. On my baseball Instagram account, there is a link to kind of all of my social media stuff, which includes YouTube, and there's some clips on there. There's a clip on my TikTok that she found that said the On Deck podcast on it. So then she went in there, found some stuff, and then she like sent me a picture for her being able to watch it. And I was like, it's like, no, like, let me pick the one you're gonna watch. So I think she watched the worst places to cheat draft, because I thought that was a funny one that we did.
That was a good one. That was a really good one.
We had the GOAT Will Thompson on that show.
True.
Because I need the girl to meet Will, obviously. Like, that's important to me. You know, my three guys. And then she watched the one with my mother. She stumbled upon that one, and
I think that one does good by you, because it's three people that really like you talking about you for 30 minutes.
She said she was smiling and kicking her feet watching it, man. She was like, this is so sweet. Like, these people love you. And I was like, they do love me.
They love me.
So yeah, so she's seen a couple. I would assume she's not going to watch this one, because I don't think she has the time to. I mean, she's very busy. So if she does watch this, shout out. You know,
she's got a lot of very difficult school coming up for the next 3 years. But this girl, everything you've told us about her, she sounds great, man. So I wanted to shout her out, especially as you alluded to, since she's a listener, sort of.
Yeah, man. Maybe someday she'll come on the pod. You never know, right? Let's lock this thing down. Let's get her on the pod at some point. You know, let's see what happens there.
That would be cool.
You guys will have to meet her regardless, sometime when I'm recording, because she wants to meet you guys, which is like a funny thing in my life. It's like,
well, yes. If I suppose an hour and a half into the show is a good enough time to drop a spoiler. I have solicited our next guest, and I think we said episode 35. If her schedule works out with yours, I think a similar setup to how we did with Mama Raz. I think it's time we prove that I am actually married.
The people have been asking. That's what everyone keeps asking me. It's like,
everybody keeps asking.
Yeah.
Are we sure Nate and Rhys are the same guy or not?
Are we
is
sure
Drew
Rhys
really
and
married?
Drew aren't dating? Like, that's been a question that's been thrown around. And
where is Rhys secretly just right over here? I'm nearly done. Just give me a minute. I'm sorry your back hurts, but no. Anyway, I think that's a suitable amount of what's on our mind, though.
I think this was a great episode, and I'm glad to do it with you in a little duo role here, man. I don't even want to shout anything out. I don't have any apps on my phone at this point. My name's Nate Rasmussen. You can find me places. I like baseball. That is Drew Wheeler. And you can find him places too. We're not hard to find. Come hang out with us more. Come comment on our stuff. Come subscribe to Prospects Live for $5 a month. Do whatever you want to do, but we're glad that you're here. Thank you for making it this deep into the episode. You are a real one. And we will see you guys back again on Tuesday with our best buddy Rhys. Goodbye.